someone told me once about actually when my mother died. You don't get over it, but you get used to it, which I think is very true. You don't get over it in the sense of being able to put it away and then like that's done. It's never done, but you get used to it. Humans, one of our greatest strengths and also our greatest curses is that we can get used to anything. We can learn to live with anything. Here, I guess it's a strength, because if I couldn't learn to live with this, I wouldn't be here to talk to you. It's a privilege, and I'm grateful to share with you and with anyone who listens.
CSS is emotional. This phrase came to me randomly one afternoon when I was trying to explain CSS to someone at the office. And it was very unexpected. It just hit me like a truth that has been there always, waiting for someone to say it. And what was an explanation of styles and selectors immediately became something more. It became a realization that CSS is more than just code. That CSS is about expression, is about nuances, and CSS is very personal. Months later, in November of 2024, that moment became a seed that grew into a blog series where I explored the depth and, of course, the emotions behind CSS. Then something happened. Around that time, CSS got a new logo. And with the new logo came a color that was tied to a story that's so deeply human that it sent chills down my spine. So I reached out to Eric Meyer, who is one of the founding fathers of CSS and actually very central to this story. What followed was a conversation I would never forget in my life. This video is a piece of that moment, and it is emotional, it is educational, it is inspirational, and I promise you, after seeing this video, you will never look at CSS the same way again.
I guess the one question I would say is, how's the family? And how I would answer it is, we move forward. Our eldest is now a mother herself, so I'm a grandparent.
Oh, wow.
So, oh yeah, thank you. She's my granddaughter is very young. Well, seems very young to me. I'm in my 50s and she's in her 1. So she's very young. But I mean, I've always been a fan of very young children because they have that childlike wonder, right? They approach the world with no preconceptions.
Yeah.
There's a story that I still tell from time to time, and I'm going to tell it here because you opened the door. My daughter, who is now a mother, when she was about my granddaughter's age, 12 to 1 year old, somewhere in there, we went to Disney World, now some 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we went to Epcot Center, which is actually one of my favorite parks, and my wife's as well. And we were in the International Pavilion part at the Japan Pavilion. And one of the things that they do at the Japanese Pavilion, or at least they did at the time, they probably still do, is they have these enormous taiko drums. The drums that are literally like 6 to 15 feet across or whatever. Sorry, 2 to 5 meters across.
Yeah.
And they would have a drum show.
Yeah.
And so we had parked, the stroller, and we're watching the drummers. And I looked down at my daughter, and she was absolutely enthralled by the hedge in front of her. The taiko drummers could just as easily not have existed for her. She was so fascinated by this bush in front of her. That's kids. Like, they see something in the world that fascinates them, and that is their whole thing for that moment, right?
Yeah.
And as a teacher of mine said, a middle school teacher, in fact, a middle school teacher of mine said, babies are the only humans you will ever meet who are giving 100% all the time.
Okay.
Right? They're 100% invested in whatever they're doing all the time. They haven't learned yet to husband their reserves. They haven't learned yet to like bring it down a notch so that they have something left later.
Yeah.
They're going flat out 100% all the time
Yeah.
in whatever they're doing, trying to understand the world, trying to do whatever they're doing. When they're focused on you, they are 100% focused on you.
Yeah.
Right? And to try to give that back to them is a challenge as an adult, but I kind of love it. Because it reminds me, like, as adults, there's a lot of BS that we just put on top of everything. So many things that we think are important, and they really kind of aren't. Yeah, that's been really great. Being able to hang out with, I like my kids. I hang out with them. I like my granddaughter. I hang out with her.
Yeah.
And our youngest is making their way through teenhood. But, I was never a parent who said, I wish you would stop growing up. I've always tried to be childlike in the sense of appreciate who they are right now for who they are. Mm-hmm. Don't wish that they could be what they were, or don't wish that they could be what they're going to be. Like, don't even wish that stuff.
Yeah.
Be with them as they are right now. There's an extra layer of gratitude that they get to do that they've both gotten to do that they get to choose their own paths. They get to decide how they're going to live their lives, with our input. But ultimately, we're here to raise them to be functional adults who can make good choices in how they're going to live their lives. Mm-hmm. And if you've done that, then you've succeeded. And even if you feel like they're not making the right choices, as long as you gave it your all, as long as you gave 100% to the effort of trying to get them there, you've done what you could. So, we move forward. Someone told me once about actually when my mother died, you don't get over it, but you get used to it, which I think is very true. You don't get over it in the sense of being able to put it away and then like that's done. It's never done, but you get used to it. Humans, one of our greatest strengths and also our greatest curses is that we can get used to anything. We can learn to live with anything.
Yeah.
Here, I guess it's a strength. Because if I couldn't learn to live with this, I wouldn't be here to talk to you, right?
Sure.
But you can get used to it, and that's for anyone who's listening to this who maybe has their own fresh grief of some variety. As we get older, our parents start to die, and unfortunately, sometimes our children do. If you're wondering how you can ever live with this, it's that you get used to it. But I would also say you're never required to get over it, right? It's not something, and if somebody's saying, why are you still upset about X after Y time? It's because you are. Yeah. Nobody else gets to decide for you when you've moved to different stages of grief, right? And for a deep enough grief, it never really leaves you, but it's different. I do not grieve now the same way I did the day that she died, or the day after, or the day of her funeral. The same way that I don't grieve for my mother the way that I did the day that she died, or the day of her funeral, or 6 months later or 12 months later. It changes over time. The same way that any horrible injury you can heal from, you will be forever changed from a significant injury, but you can learn to live with it. And carry on. So, that's how we're doing.
That's awesome. I'm really glad, the family is actually moving forward and, how everything has been so far. I'm honestly very glad to hear that, actually. Even when I thought about speaking with you about this, right, I was still very skeptical because I know, like you said, people handle this differently, right? And
Yeah.
I was I was trying to be very careful, right? Because I do not know where you are at,
Right.
or did not know where you were, and it would be unfair for me to just randomly expect that you should be fine, right? So like you said, I really like the fact that everyone's actually moving forward, and it's great to hear.
Well, you showed courage, I will say, in asking, but you asked very gently. And had I not been okay with it, the way that you asked, I would not have felt upset in saying I can't. And I did think about it, I'll be honest. But ultimately, there's it's something that you never want to talk about and you always want to talk about. When someone you truly love and has made a huge impression on you dies, I think for most people it's like, no, I don't want to talk about that today. And at the same time, you want to tell everyone because you want that person to live on more, right? There are situations that I just want to talk about my mom because she was pretty amazing. She overcame some real difficulties to be as good a mom as she was. She was perfect. As a parent myself, I can look back and say, nope, not perfect. In the same way that I am not perfect. Well, sorry, no. In different ways that I am not perfect, but we're both not perfect.
Yeah.
I think once you become a parent, hopefully you realize, okay, my parents did the best. Hopefully my parents did the best they could, but I can see the ways that they messed up, and hopefully you're in a situation where you have parents where you could say they weren't trying to do that. I know that not everyone has that experience. I was very lucky. I could have had a mother who was horrible, and I didn't, because of the work she put in. So yeah, someone who's amazing, you wanna talk about them at the same time as you don't want to bring it up. And I've had people, and I think you probably felt the same way, who've said, I don't want to bring up bad memories, right? I don't want to bring up painful memories.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. Those memories are there, and they're painful in varying degrees depending on the day and the circumstances. And sometimes I'll see a purple flower and it is piercing because I will know that Rebecca would have loved it.
Yeah.
Or at least at the age that I knew her. Like now, who knows? She'd be 17 now, or 17 later this year. She'd be 16 now.
Yeah.
So she might be very different, and I will never know how, which is its own pain. And sometimes I think that's the worst pain. All that potential that as a parent you see in your child, and all those things that you want for them.
Mm-hmm.
For her, those are all gone. They will always be gone. And that, I think, sometimes hurts the most. That she never got to have those experiences and make those decisions and choose for herself. That she never got to fulfill that potential that we saw in her. And it hurts that she's not here, of course. But sometimes I think what hurts the worst is and the knowledge that I will never know who she would have been today. Like it's far enough now that I have no way to know what she would be like. I don't know if she would be National Honor Society, inventing stuff, or in juvenile detention because she started shoplifting. Like, I don't know. Right. And had she been the latter, I would have been really, really angry. I would have been so angry and not ever really understood that I should have been grateful.
Yeah.
And so with our youngest, they're not in juvenile detention. Nobody worry. It's right. They're not, as far as I know, they're not stealing things, or breaking the law in other ways. I very much doubt it, but I can be grateful, more grateful even now than I would have been before, that I get to see how they live their lives. Yeah. And when it's time for me to go, I think when it's time for me to die, I think the thing that I will be the most regretful about is what I'm not going to get to see afterward. Like I won't, there will be a point at which I don't get to be a part of their life anymore. I don't get to see it, and I don't get to be there to help if needed. That is what I think will hurt the most when I reach that point. Which, if I follow in my mom's footsteps, will be in about 5 years. And if I follow in my dad's footsteps, well, he's not dead yet. So I will have a while. So we'll see. I have no way to know.
We definitely hope you stick around longer.
I mean, I would like to stick around and see my grandkid. And if there are more grandkids grow up. I mean, so far there's one. And from what my daughter says, there will only ever be the one. And we have her daughter is very easygoing. Right, my grandkid is pretty easygoing, pretty easy. But it's also being a parent's real hard. It turns out it's very difficult. And so right now she's like, no, but maybe in the future we'll see.
I do, right? Yeah.
And just I'd like to see them grow up and see what kinds of decisions they make. Are they going to have kids? Are they going to be, a scientist or a teacher or a painter or a musician or whatever? Yeah. I guess one of the things that will help when my time comes to die, to balance with the regret that I'm not going to get to see what happens after, is knowing that there will be an after for them, that they will continue on